Hi, Ms. Patterson here. Today we're going to show you the setup for a Properties of Water lab. I have 6 stations that I've set up. I'm going to show you how to put those together best for students. I also have a link down in the description of this lab. I do not have answers with it because I don't want students to see it, but I will give you that opportunity to do that. You can use them one at a time. I have them all set up in my lab. Whatever way you want to do it works best for you. Hope this helps. All right, this is the water bottle lab. This is one of 2 bottles that I have at the station. This one kind of shows air pressure and cohesion. This is just a tea bottle I just bought at a convenience store. It's a hard bottle, those work best. I took a push pin and I pushed in 5 of those holes. They just need to be a small hole. I'm gonna fill this up with water. So I'm gonna fill it up all the way to the top. You need to make sure you put your thumb over those holes as you're filling it up. So I'll put my thumb over that, fill it all the way up to the very top. And when you let go of the holes, you might have a little bit come out, but it's gonna stop. Now when I unscrew the cap, so here I'm gonna unscrew the cap, the water is going to come out those holes. You take your finger and you can run your finger up and down, back and forth. They're going to twist and come together with that. I have students put the lid back on, predict what's going to happen. So I put the lid back on and it stops. And then I'll tell them, all right, take the lid back off, and it starts up again. So this is a fun one. They kind of enjoy this one quite a bit. And then when they're done, they pour it out, but this needs to be done over a sink or over a big bucket. This is the second part of the water bottle lab. I have a hard plastic bottle. This is from a apple juice bottle. I like it. It's really hard. It's not flimsy. I can't squeeze it. This works perfect. I also love waterproof playing cards. These are a game changer. Love these. You can use regular playing cards. You can do some type of laminated paper, but these work amazing. I would highly invest in some of these. This is super simple. This shows air pressure. I take a bottle, fill it all the way up to the top. You take the card, set it on top, keep it pressure on it, and you flip it. And then you let go. And now the card stays, and this is due to air pressure. Air pressure is moving equally and consistent in all directions, so that works. I have students try it if it's half full of water. If I have a little bit of water, does it still work? I'll have students twist it to the side. Oh, that time it worked. But sometimes I'll do it to the side and it will fall off. But you just remove it. They get a kick out of this one. They like this one. Super easy lab to do. This is the water. It's an adhesion, cohesion lab. I have this setup of me holding the string the way it needs to go. The big thing about this is we need to make sure this string is not touching any of the edge of the cup. And let me show you how I made this. Inside, I have hot glue. I took some jute string and just glued it to the bottom of the cup, and I just glued it to the center. Okay. For this to work, I need to wet this string. So I'm going to wet the string. I put just a little bit of water in the cup, and I just put my string, because it doesn't work if it's dry. So I will do this part, and I'll just kind of run my fingers gently down it. So now the string is just wet and damp. I will take the colored water. I will put the string inside that little spout. And I'm gonna hold it like so. This can touch this piece, but I do not want the string to touch the side, because if not, water's gonna pour down the side. But I will take it, and some students want to start out up and down. Okay. And you just gently just start pouring it. What I like students to try to do is try to get as horizontal as possible. And the colored water allows you to see that the water is moving along that string. If you pour too fast, it will drip out. That's why I always do it over sink. Okay, but this shows that the water came inside. I'll take this, I'll pour it back into this one. I let this sit in the sink. This goes back over here. Students are ready for the next station. This is the pepper lab. You will need a bowl. You will need a little bit of pepper. I will use one of these weigh boats and just put like a spoonful of pepper in there. They do not need a lot. And I will pour some dish soap in the day of. If you do this to the night before, it will get hard. So I'll come in first thing, and I just do a tiny little drop like that. It doesn't have to be much at all for that to happen. Okay, students will have some water. You can use a beaker of water. Sometimes I'll just have a water bottle that I just fill up with water, and they will fill up the bowl about halfway. They will take a pinch of pepper, and they'll sprinkle it over the top. Sometimes I'll tell them they can do 2, maybe 3, but you want it to kind of be covered up, just floating on top. They will take a clean toothpick, no soap on it, and they will put the toothpick in the water and then make their predictions, their observations of what happened. Sometimes I'll let them use the same one. So this is the side that just was in the water. This is the side I'm gonna put a little bit of dish soap on it. So I'm just gonna curl around and put some dish soap on the tip. They take it straight up and down and go into the center of the bowl. And they can kind of touch around to the other side and kind of see if anything else happens when they do that. They will pour this into the sink. This goes into the trash. They reset the lab for the next station. This is the magic sand lab. Here I have magic sand. I just have a spoonful of magic sand. It doesn't matter what color. What I like for this one is to fill this up with a little bit of water. I keep a spoon in it. And I just let students play. This is just an 80 ml beaker, because if you do too much, they just waste it and it just gets all over the place. So I found smaller beakers work, and you can see when it's in the water, it has a bubbled like appearance to it, and the kids like that. But you can also see that the sand, when I bring it up out of the water, goes back to being dry. If you let this sit all day long, you're going to start to see little gummy pieces start floating into it. It starts to break down when it sits in water too long. So usually I'll just do this at the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, what's nice, you can put this in a coffee filter, get the water out, and you can reuse this sand again for the next year. So for this, I use fresh sand. This one here, I have a weigh boat. It's magic sand only. I'll mix some of my old magic sand together, and I use this as the pinch test that we got. I use fresh magic sand for this. I'll use old magic sand for this one. So this is old magic sand that I've just put into a small little Tupperware container. So magic sand, and then I will take a spoonful, put it in here. Students will have water and alcohol. Again, I will fill this up. So the water, I'll put in just a little bit. The alcohol, this is isopropyl alcohol, just a little squeeze. This is 70% isopropyl. You can also use 90. This is the one that I have set up for this lab. So what students are going to do is I have two weigh boats. One is water and sand. This one here is alcohol and sand, and they aren't supposed to mix the two. They will take a pinch of my magic sand and they'll put it in both containers. Just a little bit. They don't need a lot. Again, if you give them too much of this, they're going to waste it. So now I have my magic sand. I take my water and I'm just going to put a few drops inside here and see what happens. And you can see that the water repelled the magic sand. If I mix, okay, you can see the water is still repelled by the magic sand. Now I take the water or the sand and alcohol. So my sand's in here. I take a couple drops of the alcohol and I'll drop it onto the magic sand. And you can see the magic sand absorbs the alcohol. Students will make their observations. When they're done, they will take a paper towel. I have a trash can set up. They will wipe out the magic sand. This does not go down the sink. This needs to go into a trash can and be poured out at the end of the day. They will reset their stations back up. And they are ready to go to the next one. This is the wax paper lab. You need water. I have water only boats. I have alcohol only boats. And if you do this, this is another tip, you can reuse these the next lab. So I'll just rinse them out. I write them backwards on the back of the boats. So they're not perfect, but they work. I like having them already done. The only thing you have to redo each year are your pipettes. This one, I have a square of wax paper. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to the boats. Again, I do not give them a lot because they will waste a bunch. Here I have isopropyl alcohol. You can use 70 or 91. I usually use 70, but all I have right now is 91. And again, I just use a little bit. This will be on my station. I don't let this sit out here with students. I take pipette water, make sure the water stays with water, alcohol stays with alcohol. I take the water and I'm just going to put a couple drops on the paper. And you can see how it beads up. I can take my pipette and move my beads around like so. Then I'm going to take a couple drops of my alcohol and I'm going to put those on the wax paper. And you can see they don't bead and move, it absorbs. So this is a polarity example of water. Water is polar. The wax paper is nonpolar. This is nonpolar. non-polar wax paper. That's why this works. When they're done, they take this, they will fold it up, and they will throw it into their trash can that we have at the station. I will have another bag of cut wax paper. They reset the station, and they can move on to the next one. Here is the soapy penny lab. So you will set up, I put a paper towel, I'll cut out some squares or rectangles, just any size will do. And then I give them 2 pennies. And they're just regular, just copper pennies. And then I will have a beaker that is full with water. I put a little flag on it in order to show that this is water. We don't want them cross-contaminating. And then I'll have another one for soapy water. And again, I'll have a different color. That way they know that this can only be soapy water. So I will have a beaker of soapy water. And then I will have a beaker of water. And then I will pour this into these small beakers because they will waste a lot. So I just put just a little bit of what they need. Maybe just 20 milliliters of fluid, like that's it. I don't put a lot in there because again, they'll waste a lot of it. All right, so what you need to start out with is they are going to look at one of the pennies and they're going to put in water. So when they start putting in the water, it's going to start to blow up due to cohesion. So you're just going to hold your wrist, kind of keep it still. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Add some more water. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And there's times when you're going to start wanting to kind of stop so it won't be jiggling as much. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. All right, so that one took 32 drops for that one to break its surface tension. All right, now I'm going to take the other penny and bring in my soapy water. And I'm going to do the same thing. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so that was 13 on that one. Okay. So now when you're done, they need to clean up the station. They need to make sure they really clean this soapy one off first. If not, it's going to mess up if they use it for water. So the water one, I'll just have them dry off. Try not to get any oils on it. And then with this one, I might kind of have a beaker of water that they can go in and just kind of dip it in some water. Rinse it out, okay? Make sure it doesn't feel slimy. And then dry it off really good. And then set it for the next station. This is now trash. This will go into a little trash can I have set up over to the side. They will dry their station as best they can. And then they will reset for the next station. Put a clean piece of paper out. Your pennies are there. Your water, soapy water is good to go. And you're good. Moving on to the next station. So at the end of the day, I have students clean up the lab. They're going to put all the pipettes in the trash. They're going to take the small trash cans at each station and make sure they're emptied. They're going to take all the weigh boats, they're going to clean them, and they're going to turn them upside down on a towel to dry overnight. You're going to take the bottles from the bottle lab, you're going to turn them upside down. You can either put them on a counter, but I find that the beaker dryers that are on the walls in most chemistry labs, you can put them on one of those little pegs and they'll dry fairly quick overnight. The wet magic sand that you have in the beaker with the water, you're going to take a coffee filter, put it in a funnel, run the water through the funnel, and then you'll have the magic sand in the coffee filter. You can lay it out overnight and then it will dry. You can put it on one of those brown paper towels. Those will help it dry out too. With the string cup lab, you're going to make sure the string is straight and just able to dry out overnight. The pennies, you want to make sure they're clean, dry, and you can put them in a little baggie. And when all of these items are dry, they're ready to go into a box. And I just put mine in a paper copy box that we have in our copy room. And I use that, put everything in there, and then the next year I just have properties of water label on it. I grab it, I'm good to go for the slab. I hope you guys found that helpful. Bye.